Hey everyone, you are watching Board Game Talk on inthirdperson.com. My name is Jet, and today I wanted to showcase 3 great games that are particularly good for newcomers. So whether you are exploring the hobby for yourself for the first time, or you're an experienced gamer looking to find just the right game to show your friends who've never played board games before, these are 3 you'll want to try out first. Finding great entry-level board games can be difficult. There are so many board games out there. As you can see, I've got a bunch right here. And a lot of them are not so great to start on. Just one example of a board game that, while it's an amazing game, not so great to start on. A Game of Thrones 2nd edition. Now don't get me wrong, I love this game. It is a fantastic take on the Game of Thrones universe where everyone gets to play as the different houses in the book and the TV show, and everyone is battling for power in a way that feels a lot like the show. That being said, this game has a billion pieces in it, a ton of rules, and takes at least 3 hours to play. This is not very good for someone just entering the hobby to play first. Play this one later, after you've got some experience under your belt. Instead, try something smaller, like Love Letter. Love Letter is a 16-card card game about a princess who has locked herself inside the castle. And as players, you are trying to send your letters to the princess or try and get your letter as close as possible to the princess. So all of the numbers on these different cards represent how close you are to the princess. If you've got a 1 guard card, you are not close to the princess at all, but if you have the princess herself, you are right there. At the start of the game, everyone will start with 1 card in their hand. On their turn, they will draw a card from the deck, they will then play a card from their hand, and you will do what it says on the card. So for example, I have 2 cards here. I have the Priest, which lets me look at another player's card, and I have the King, which lets me trade hands with another player of my choice. So if I were to play the Priest, I would play that, and I turn over to this person and say, hey, I want to look at your card. I would get to look at their card. They have a guard. Not that great. Or I could play the King and trade hands with someone, and let's say I want to trade with this person over there. So I'm going to give them the Priest, which is the card in my hand, and trade for their card, which is, ooh, it's a princess. Awesome. Play continues until all of the cards are out of the deck or until there are no players left standing. At that point, the player with the highest card or the only player left wins the round and gets a token of affection. The player with the most tokens of affection at the end of the game wins. One of the reasons why I enjoy Love Letter as an entry-level game is that it's got very simple rules that anyone can pick up. The rules are basically pick up a card, play one of your 2 cards, and then follow the instructions on the card. Another reason why I think Love Letter is a great introductory game is that it has just enough strategic bite to make things interesting every time you play. For example, the guard is a number 1 card. You're the farthest away from the princess. But you could play the guard and try and guess what someone else has in their hand. If you get it right, they are knocked out of the round. Better yet, if you've played a Priest card to look at someone else's hand beforehand and you know they still have that card, you can play the guard on a future turn and immediately knock them out of the round. So it's little things like that in terms of strategy that make this game really interesting when you play it for the first time, and it stays interesting for the course of many playthroughs. Love Letter comes in a lot of different versions. This one here is the standard edition that comes in the bag, but then there's a version that comes in a box. There's different themed versions, such as ones based on The Lord of the Rings and Archer, and a Christmas one with Santa. I have at least one other one with Batman. So instead of trying to find the princess, you're trying to capture the Joker. This one, I mean, they're all pretty much the same game with slightly different pictures on them. The Batman one is great if you're not looking to send love letters to a princess. And one more, this one is the wedding edition, which you can only order off of the company site if you submit your wedding invitation to them to prove that you're getting married. And the only difference between this one and this one is that the art is a little different and the princess is wearing a wedding dress in this one. Another awesome entry-level game for newcomers to play is Ticket to Ride. In Ticket to Ride, players are trying to score the most points by claiming train routes across America. As you can see, I'm blue team and I've got one white route from Phoenix to Denver, and the red player has a red route or a purple route from Duluth to Toronto. You score points by playing your color cards in order to claim train routes. For example, I cashed in 5 white cards earlier in order to claim this route from Phoenix to Denver, which gave me, let's see, 5 trains in one route, 10 points. You will also get bonus points if you're able to complete your train routes. So for example, early on in the game, I drew 2 tickets, one from Phoenix to Boston and one from Toronto to Charleston. So in this Phoenix to Boston scenario, if I'm able to build a train from Phoenix all the way to Boston up here, I will get 19 points. However, if I don't do that by the end of the game, I will lose 19 points. So it is in my best interest to build train routes from Phoenix to Boston and from Toronto to Charleston in order to get those points. Now, you can still score points without building these routes, but because of the penalties, it is in your best interest to focus on your tickets. I love Ticket to Ride as an entry-level board game for a number of reasons. For one, it's very simple to learn. On your turn, you only have one action, which is to either play the cards in your hand, draw more color cards from the pile, or draw more route cards from the tickets if you've completed your routes. The other is the strategy involved with the game. In general, it's in your best interest to build out your routes to get the bonus points, but other people have to build their routes too, which might conflict with your own, causing routes that you wanted to get to be blocked by other players. And how you maneuver around the board in order to get to your destination ends up being a really interesting thing to figure out as the game progresses. There are a lot of great entry-level board games, and I'm only featuring 3 on the show today, but at some point we'll come back and showcase a couple of more. But the last one I wanted to cover today is King of Tokyo. In King of Tokyo, players are playing as monsters, battling over control of the city. And the point of the game is to become the King of Tokyo, which is done by either knocking your opponents out so that they have no more hearts left, so that would be from 10 to 0, or from being the first person to score 20 points. All of the gameplay is controlled through these dice, of which there are 6 different sides which do different things. You will have scoring dice, such as these ones, which are 1, 2, and 3. If you roll 3 of a kind, so for example, if I got 3 ones, that would give me 1 point. If I got a 4th one, that would give me 2 points, and so on and so forth. If I roll a claw, I could use that to inflict 1 damage to the person inside Tokyo. If I was playing as the Mecha Dragon and I was inside Tokyo, that 1 claw would hit both the king and the Cyber Bunny who are outside of Tokyo. If I rolled a lightning bolt, I would get a number of green cubes equivalent to that number. So if I rolled 1, I would get 1 cube. And these cubes are used to essentially buy different power-ups from the hand that is available at the top of the board. Finally, there are hearts, and you will use these to heal your health. So let's say you got beat up a bunch, I got a heart, I will give myself 1 more heart so that I don't die later. And on your turn, you are going to roll these dice to see what you get. So in this example, I got 2 3s, a 2, a 2, a 1, and 2 claws. And I want to keep the 2 3s because I might get a 3rd. I've got 2 attack. I want to attack the Mecha Dragon inside, and let's re-roll these 2. You can re-roll up to 2 more times. So this is my second roll. 2 hearts. I don't want those. 1 more time. No. So after the 3rd roll, you're stuck with what you've got. These 2 1s aren't worth anything. These 2 3s aren't worth anything. But those 2 attack do 2 damage to the Mecha Dragon, who then falls to 6. The reason I love King of Tokyo is that the gameplay is very simple to learn. It's roll these 3 dice Yahtzee style, and you do the results that are on the dice. However, what makes it really interesting is trying to find the right balance of things to do on your turn. At any given time, you probably want to score points, but you also want to hit the bad guy. You also want to get energy in order to get the cool power-up cards, and you also want to heal yourself. And trying to find the right balance from turn to turn is very tricky, and it's actually a lot of fun to try and sort through the process of what you want to keep and what you want to reroll. The other interesting part of King of Tokyo is the aspect of controlling Tokyo. So when you first go inside Tokyo, you will get 1 point, and if you start your turn inside Tokyo, you get 2 points. So in general, you want to stay inside Tokyo in order to get those points, and also when you attack from inside Tokyo, you hit everyone outside of Tokyo. So if the Mecha Dragon rolls a claw, he would hit both the king and the Cyber Bunny for that damage. The problem is, when you're inside Tokyo, you cannot use hearts, making you very vulnerable to attack. So trying to find the right times to go inside of Tokyo and outside of Tokyo is key. Trying to manage all of that stuff, from which values to keep on the dice and when to go inside and outside of Tokyo, makes this a really fun game for players of all ages and skill levels. That's it for today's episode of Board Game Talk on inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And also check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more on video games, board games, comic books, and other nerdy pursuits. So until next time, I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com, and thank you for watching.